Welcome back to another episode of Walking Through Blank, where we are just talking through different subjects and different experiences that so many in the body of Christ walk through, and they might be subjects that we don't usually talk about. And today I am so grateful to have Denise with me, and we are going to be talking about walking through a divorce. And she has so kindly agreed to share her story and her experience with us. And Denise, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And I am so excited to talk about the subject, even though it's something that's usually somewhat of a taboo subject, I guess is the way to put it in the church. So if you'd just like to start off by just sharing your story.
Sure, I'd be glad to, and honored to. Well, I was raised going to church and became a Christian when I was 14 and knew the Lord and went to a Christian college. And it was there that I met the man who would become my husband, and we were a part of a local body and had an incredible Bible study teacher couple that as we grew in our faith through that, he realized he was called to ministry. He graduated with his master's from seminary, and then we began the pastorate. God moved us at that point to East Texas, to Longview, Texas, and we were in that church for about 4 years when my husband had pretty much reached every goal he'd ever set for himself. The enemy works, and he began speaking that into my husband, that we would all be better off, he would be happier, life should be more, all of those kinds of lies that the enemy whispers to us. And I really was unaware of a lot of that. I just believed we had committed to being married forever, and that this was a challenging patch because at that point our children were 3, 5, 7, and 9. And I was totally blindsided when he came in one day and said, I don't want to be married to you anymore. And I had no idea. He said, you know, you're not enough of a person to stay married to. And of course I was devastated and shocked and no idea what to do. He left, and it was devastating. I had several godly friends who really came alongside my family, my children and I. And those first few months, we had no income at all. And over the next years, I saw the goodness of God lived out in ways that I wouldn't have anticipated. During those months before I got a job as a teacher, which is what I had been doing in the early years of our marriage before we'd had kids, during those months, my church family supported me financially. Just every need kept being provided. And I wasn't telling people my needs. I was laying them before God. No budget ever covered our monthly bills. None that I could create. So I stopped trying. I just laid before the Lord. Okay, here's the bills. You're going to provide. And what I saw was faithfulness on God's part. Another instance of God's grace and goodness. School was getting ready to start, and they needed backpacks. And I went before the Lord and said, okay, you know what's in the checking account. You know the bills that are due. We need school supplies. 2 days later, a church member came to my door and said, you know, I was buying my kids back to school stuff, and God laid on my heart that your kids might need something. So I looked at their grade level supply list, and here's backpacks for all of your kids with every single supply in the backpack. And I was so overwhelmed by God's goodness. And part of walking through this was I felt like I was to not say anything to dishonor my then ex-husband, because he was still my children's father. And regardless of how hurt and wounded I was, I believed they were to honor him and respect him. And if I didn't, how could I ask them to? So when people would say things to me like, well, what really happened? I didn't reply to most of those things, other than to say what I knew, what I believed to be true. As far as I knew, none of that was the case. But again, what I saw was God's faithfulness. Because over time, and I don't mean 6 months, I mean years, the truth came to light.
So it's been so clear to see how God has been worked through that season, and how he was so clearly there in every single step. What did he teach you through it, besides his obvious abundant faithfulness?
Whenever there's a divorce, as easy as it is, and as much as people want to blame one party or the other, the reality is both parties are human and sin and fall short. And one of the things God showed me was that I had made my husband an idol. I so believed in his godliness and in his interpretation of Scripture and in his leadership that I stopped seeking God as diligently for myself. God taught me that until I learned to be content alone, I would never be able to be content in another relationship. And so I found his sufficiency, not just meeting practical needs, but over time I found his sufficiency in truly being a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I can say in all truthfulness, as gut-wrenchingly horrible as walking through my divorce was, I would do it again for what I learned of God in that season. I have never felt more loved and more intimately connected to the Father than during that season of my life.
It's so beautiful to see how God can take our horrible, broken, messy seasons and just show up in such extravagant ways, and to bring such beautiful redemption that you can sit here and say, I would do it again just to know Jesus the way that I did.
Oh, yeah.
How else did he continue to redeem that season?
Because I don't believe in divorce, though I'm divorced, I never intended to remarry. And about 3 years into being single and being fully satisfied with my life, eventually God did bring a Christian friend. Said, I know a man that is in a similar situation. I think it'd just be nice for you to have someone just to enjoy their companionship. And we dated right at 2 years before we married. We've now been married 21 years.
Well, I love hearing how God redeemed in such a beautiful way and did bring restoration in the area of marriage. I once heard someone else I know who is divorced, and they said walking through divorce is like dying and going through a funeral, but no one sends you flowers. And just, I've heard from different women just the pain of walking through that and just how they didn't feel like they received the help that they needed. And it's been beautiful to hear your story and see how people have stepped up and helped. But how do we, as Christians, as Christian women and men, help those in the body of Christ who do find themselves in this situation? How do we lovingly care for them and help them heal? And like, what are things we can do that are good, but also things that maybe we shouldn't be saying?
Okay, I'll start with the negative. That way I get to end with the positive. Some things not to do. Don't necessarily ask what happened. Give them an opportunity to share their story and to talk if they choose to. Another thing not to do is don't distance yourself. Send the text, hey, praying for you today, hey, thinking of you, I'm going to go out for coffee, can I pick one up and bring it to you? Don't distance yourself. Don't believe or add to the rumors about what happened. God is the only one who knows both people's hearts. God's the only one who's walked through the whole process with them. And there are two sides to every story. Now for the to-dos. Look for practical ways to meet needs. So doing things like offering to help run a kid if your kid's on the same team or going to the same, church choir thing, offering rides, offering a night out for the parents sometimes if your children and theirs are friends. Listening, being available to listen. Talk to me about things beside my divorce. It was exhausting to only think about that. I needed people to just talk about normal life. And probably the best way to help is simply to constantly remind them of God's faithfulness and God's trustworthiness and God's goodness. That He's at work. Whether we see it or feel it, He's always working in every situation. Romans 8:28 and 29 are so many times misquoted. God works all things together for good to those who loved Him and are called according to His purpose. And that is true, absolutely. But part of it depends on our definition of good. We define good as easy, comfortable, and happy. But if you read verse 29 of Romans 8, it talks about that we would be conformed to the image of His Son. So anything God uses to make me more like Christ is ultimately good.
Well, Denise, you have just spewed out so much wisdom, and it's been such a blessing for me to just sit here and just hear your story of God's faithfulness, and it makes me fall in love with Him even more and just be like, wow, that's my best friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm so proud of him.
He's so good. He's so good.
So thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.